Hello, everyone, and welcome to the July 18th, 2024 Traffic Commission meeting. In attendance, we have Chief Bright, our city engineer, Nick Rystrom, and I believe Chief Callahan as well. Okay. I'm Chris Charamella, the Superintendent of Public Works, and I'll be the chair for tonight's meeting. Would you guys all mind standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so now we'll move on to the public hearing portion of our meeting. The first public hearing is a request to install a traffic calming speed bump on Mountain Ave to be located 20 feet east of Kilburn Street. Do we have any proponents for that?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. Paul Agenzio, 245 Reservoir Avenue, Ward 4, City Council. I'm completely in favor of this installation of this speed bump. As you know, Mountain Avenue is a straightaway, goes for over a mile, and it lends itself for speeding. So I think this location is a perfect spot for a speed bump, and hopefully it slows the cars down. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents? Are there any? Where are the Kilburn traffic speed bump? Is this related to that?
No, not for that.
Okay. Well, that's going to have to wait until we get through these. All right, are there any opponents for the speed bump? Do we have any comments from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Yes.
I took a look at this location, the location with regard to intersections and with regard to existing driveways and whatnot. This is really probably the best place for this type of implementation along Mountain Ave, and I would agree with Councilor Agenzio. The slope of Mountain Ave and the relative straightaway does lend itself to, speeding, and so this is the appropriate measure for that location.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nick. Is there a motion on the table? Motion to either approve or deny this?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve as written.
Is there a second?
I'll second that. I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So first item of our public hearing has been approved.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Approved. All right, the next item is amend Schedule 5 of Title 10, one-way streets, location being Cambridge Street, direction southerly from Mountain Ave to Park Ave. Do we have any proponents for this?
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, Paul Agenzio, 245 Reservoir Avenue, Ward 4, City Council. I was approached by several residents from Cambridge Street about Cambridge Street being used as a cut-through, people coming off of Warren, Vane, Reservoir, coming down South Cambridge, cutting across Park Avenue and up Cambridge. That's why hopefully the direction of this one-way will be southerly from Mountain to Park, and as these cars cut through, when they get there, they'll have to go left or right, so it'll kind of break up the traffic and not make Cambridge Street the cut through to get to Adams Street. Hopefully you'll approve this measure. Thank you.
Well, actually, one question for you, Paul. Just in your experience, do you think this would direct traffic to make another cut-through street further up or down?
Well,
would this just push it
so,
along, or do you think this would actually help?
Right, so this is across, South Cambridge is directly across, so when people come down, if they are trying to cut through, some will go left, some will go right, and it'll break it up a little bit. The same thing happened years ago on Irving Street. People would come down South Irving, use it as a cut-through straight up Irving, and that was made do not enter for that same reason, and now that's kind of broken up.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Are there any other proponents? Good afternoon.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. I'm a little nervous. Chairman Charamella, Traffic Commission. It's been quite a few years that people have been racing, as Paul has said, down South Cambridge Street all the way across Park Ave and shooting up Cambridge and crossing over, but they're flying. You know, I go out there in the morning with my dog, and the other day I almost got killed because she had been going at least 60 miles an hour. But it's not just once, it happens over and over again. And it's a crossover. I just think that it would be a lot better if they came from, you know, if it was one-way coming down instead of going up, because you have that big slope. Secondly, in the wintertime, it's very difficult to get up Cambridge Street when it's snow and ice. And I've even seen the fire trucks back down, along with school buses. And I have cameras on my home, so I can see how many people, and we're talking hundreds and hundreds, as you well know.
Yep.
So I am definitely in favor of it coming down
Okay.
from Mountain Ave into, towards Park Ave.
Thank you.
All right?
Thank you very much. Are there any other proponents?
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Evendahl. I reside at 12 Cambridge Street. I've been there 35 years now. I think it would definitely be beneficial for the residents of the area to have Cambridge Street a one-way from Mountain down to Park. As Grace said, the Street 1 is narrow, so if somebody's going both ways, you have to try to pull over. If it's a wide vehicle, you have to go up on the sidewalk to let another vehicle pass. Also, as mentioned, in the winter, that hill gets icy. I've slid backwards on it because I had to stop at Mountain Ave, and I have gone back. So I believe it would be a great benefit to residents there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is that it? Are there any other proponents? Are there any opponents? Nope, closing that side. Do we have any comments from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, my only concern is that, so Cambridge right now is a two-way.
Yep.
Dedham is a one-way coming down. Barrett is a one-way, is a two-way, but you can go up. I just have concern that you're going to be pushing all of this traffic that's going up all over to the next street. And then we're going to be having this conversation about Barrett. So I just have concern that we're not really addressing the problem, but we're moving it to another street. Just
Okay.
a general comment.
Thank you. Does fire, police have any issues with like first responders on this road, but making it a one-way? Do you guys think that would be negatively affect either one of you guys?
I don't see any negative impact for
No.
us if it was changed.
Okay.
No.
But I do share Commissioner Weistrom's concern about moving the problem to another street. You know, we're going to take a hard look at which streets run which way, and maybe they all have to alternate, north and south.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we did at one point look at all of the streets along Park Ave as a whole.
Yeah,
and
I
come
feel like
up with
this is
a
a larger
plan
problem
to
that we have
go-
to address all of the streets at once. I don't
Right.
want to just set this in stone as one particular, and then we'll just move down the road. I'd like to address this all as one
Right.
issue.
Mr. Chairman, we have done some streets, it is piecemeal. Some residents do not want their streets one-way. We just did Furnace Street, and that is working out well. We've done Irving, Kilburn's one-way, Dedham's one-way, Alston's one-way. And in response to Mr. Roystrom, yes, some cars will go right and go up Barrett Street. They could go left, go up Essex, go up Furnace. So it kind of moves the traffic either left or right to just break up that cut-through. I don't believe any street that is straight across from the streets on the south side should be one-way. It's working on Furnace, the residents are happy, so I don't see anything catastrophic about just taking this street and make it one-way, and then we'll take it from there,
Okay.
in my opinion.
All right. Is there a motion on the table, either to approve or deny this?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion is approved. The next item is amend Schedule 8 of Title 10, parking restrictions, generally by removing no parking from the odd side of the street and adding no parking to the even side of the street. This is on River Ave from Mills to Hayes. No parking on either side of the street. Do we have any proponents for this item?
Hi, good evening, Commissioner.
Good evening, Counselor.
Counselor Angela Garino Swire, 15 Bateman Ave. Okay, so a few months ago, we changed the parking in the entire Riverside area, and we did the odd side parking. What this street is, there are 3 driveways that are on the odd side. Those 3 driveways that are located there are at least 20 foot long. There is not enough parking for the people that live on that street to park there. So the logical thing would be for them to park on the even side. And what's happening is there are people that are constantly getting ticketed because they don't want to fight with their neighbor to park in front of their house across the street either. And it's like one ticket after the other. So how many tickets can one family who's been living there for the longest time actually get? And this is to no fault of their own because there's no parking. So the logical thing would be to just move the parking on the opposite side for River Ave where there's ample parking for the entire street.
Yeah, after looking at this, I tend to agree with you. There seems to be an extra 3, almost 3 extra spaces if it moves to the opposite side.
I think it's like 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Counselor. Are there any other proponents for this?
Joe Edmonds, 10 River Ave. So I wasn't sure about the determining factor as to what, makes a decision on what side to choose. I felt it should go by linear curb feet, and there's more curb feet on the even side.
Correct.
We've never had a problem down there all these years, and there's an old lady across the street. I'm trying not to, park. There's actually one space in front of her house that everybody could park at, and we're trying not to, bother her. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
All right.
Are there any other proponents? Closing that side. Are there any opponents to this? None? Okay, we'll close that side. Do we have any comments or concerns from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, logically, it makes sense to me that the side that has the fewer driveways would be the side that you
Yeah.
would want to have the parking. And it seems like that's what we're trying to achieve by moving it from one side to the other. In that case, I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion is approved. I'm sorry, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is approved.
May I May I make a request? Can the signs go up tomorrow so people are aware?
We're gonna have to just give me till Monday.
At
Okay?
least let the parking department know.
I will let the parking.
Thank you.
Sandcastles are very difficult to travel down there this weekend. Okay, our next item in our list is to establish 2 lanes on Winthrop Ave heading towards Broadway between Low Street and Beach Street at Immaculate Conception to provide a right turn lane onto Beach Street, left turn straight lane for Beach Street and Winthrop Ave. The second half of that is to establish 2 lanes on Beach Street from Harrington Street to Winthrop Ave, heading towards Winthrop Ave to provide a right turn lane onto Winthrop Ave and left turn straight lane onto Winthrop Ave and Beach. So this already in effect exists. I don't know if this is much of an issue with anyone, but this is something, I mean, yeah, well, we can just add this to the restriping. It was actually faded out on the Winthrop Ave side, but I don't see a problem with this at all. Are there any opponents or proponents for this measure? No? Okay. Well then, motion to approve or deny?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. All right. The issue with the parking, the pupil parking plates is no longer, has been taken off of our, yeah, that, I guess, believe that one's been settled. No, we settled that.
It was withdrawn.
It was withdrawn. Okay. All right, on to the requests. Our first request, the mayor requests that the traffic commission approve the installation of a speed bump on Walnut Ave in the interest of public safety for the senior residents of 50 Walnut Ave. Do we have a representative to speak on this?
Yes, you do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ira Novoselsky, 53 D. Hone Street, Ward 2 Councilor. This is part of Walnut Ave is for the senior citizens at the Hyman Tower and the other residents. People come around that corner, they don't even stop at the stop sign and come pouring around. And we do have a pedestrian stanchion there in front of 50 Walnut, but cars don't recognize it. They just keep flying down. I know, I myself have several times that have parked in that neighborhood on that street have almost got hit by people, and I've yelled at them, and they gave me, a couple words that we can't say right now. But, this is a request for a public hearing. The neighbors are for it. When we come in for the public hearing, we'll have a petition all signed by all the neighborhood, and we're looking for some safety for our seniors down there.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Councilor. All right. Do we have any motions on the floor to send this to public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to send this to a public hearing. In the meantime, we can just take a look at the location and where exactly the most appropriate place would be.
Agreed. All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed?
Aye.
Approved. To public hearing, item number 6. All right. The mayor requests that the traffic commission consider a no left turn on North Shore Road to Cove Street during school hours unless you are a resident of Cove Street. The traffic congestion is out of control and dangerous. Vehicles block the intersection, make illegal U-turns, and incessantly beep horns while students are trying to cross the street. Standish Road can handle traffic flow much better than Cove Street. Is there someone like to speak? Oh, Councilor,
I'm back.
you are back.
Gentlemen, Commissioners, Ira Novoselsky, 53 D. Hone Street. I did receive calls from the residents, and what's happening when people are coming southbound on North Shore Road trying to go to the school, they want to take that left at Cove Street. So the residents, and it backs up traffic, and they can't take the turn because all the traffic coming north on North Shore Road. So they've asked that there be no left turn from northbound between the hours of 7 and 9, and also from whenever school gets out. I'm going to say 2 to 4 or 1:30 to 3:30, something to that effect, so.
Yeah, I think around 3.
We're looking, for your opinion on it, and look for the public hearing, and if enough people come up and really feel strongly about it, we'll
Okay.
ask that it be done.
My concern would be the signage on that. What would the signage look like? Because they want to allow it for residents to be able to make this turn. That might be difficult.
If you put
It might make it look very
no
confusing.
left turn between these hours, or no left turn, residents only, no, I don't know, something you can,
Maybe we-
work something out, it's.
Okay. All right,
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
Just point of information, this body does, as North Shore Road is a state road, this body does not have authority to make changes to traffic. Anything that's going to cause traffic changes to that road has to be something that is brought before and approved by Mass DOT prior.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, and I'm partially correct to Mr. Reichstrom, but, North Shore Road is a residential area, and Mass DOT we've made all changes all through the years. I'd say for the last 20 years, we've done changes. We've done 30-minute parking, we've done 2-hour parking, we've done no right turns, and so many other things. And Mass DOT, and I've spoken to them myself, they're not super concerned about that portion. They plow it, and that's the extent of their responsibility. And they've told me that they really don't care what we do within reason.
Okay.
So, if you feel this is within reason or not within reason, I'd say let's hear from the people and see what they say, and if it means that we approve it and Mass DOT denies it afterwards, so be it.
Would you guys like to table this until we can reach out to some of them, MassDOT, and get their approval beforehand?
I think that's appropriate.
I think
Yeah,
so.
I've spoken to
To
Mark.
move to a public hearing, and in the meantime,
Yeah, I've spoken to
Check on
Mark
that.
Kratman,
maybe we'll have an answer next month, September, whenever we're going to meet next.
So there's one motion, there's one motion for a public hearing. Is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
Okay, so move to public hearing.
Thank you.
But in the
And,
meantime, I'd like,
reach out.
someone to reach out to MassDOT and
Yeah,
see if
Mark
what their
Kratman has
is.
been our liaison from there, so,
My only issue would be the
signage.
resident portion of the
Yeah.
signage. It's possible, but the no left-hand turn, I don't see, unless you are a resident, in there anywhere.
Yeah,
That
I
seems very
understand.
difficult.
And actually, there's only 4 residents on that street,
Okay,
and a couple of them are handicapped, and they barely come out of the house, and so,
Okay. all right.
thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Mr. Chairman, just one more point with regard to the resident only. My concern is just how do you enforce that part of it?
Yeah, I agree.
I think that, it needs to be no left turn for everybody during those time periods.
I would have to agree with you.
I don't know how you would differentiate.
Yeah.
That's, I
Yeah,
don't know.
and I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
The only issue is Cove Street is a one-way, so going down to Garfield. So if we restrict it to them, they have to go all the way around, so.
So we're talking about making it a no left turn onto a street that's one-way?
It's a one-way going down, eastbound,
But then
So
the
you
no
wouldn't
left
be-
turn would say you can't go down the correct way,
yeah.
right? So I'm not sure how
Okay,
we can
no,
make.
I-
how we
Yeah, that
can
might
do
be
that.
very difficult.
Yeah, I understand now.
I don't know
Yeah.
if that's even
Well,
We can talk to the state, but I don't see how that would even
Let's,
work.
let's table this and talk to the state before we push this any further. There's a couple logistic things I'd like to
Yeah.
talk about.
that's fine.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
So that motion is tabled. All right. Our last item of requests is amend Schedule 11 of Title 10, handicap person parking by adding 288 Crescent Ave, number 1. Do we have a, oh, you know what? Lloyd provided us with some information at the back of our packet pertaining to this resident. Is there anyone to speak on that? 288 Crescent? No? So I guess Ralph DeChico did provide us with the application. Did you guys receive it as well? Yeah. It should be at the back. Yeah, so apparently there's no driveway for this unit. All right. Are there any motions on the floor from our,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to move this to a public hearing.
there's one, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move to public hearing. All right, and lastly, we have a presentation from William Merritts from Ty and Bond. I'd like to speak to the Traffic Commission about a grant about the MassDOT Safe Routes to School program. William?
Good evening. Thank you.
Good evening.
So I'm here on behalf of working with Mass DOT and the Department of Community Development, Julie DeMauro. The commission may be aware that the city applied for a Safe Routes to School grant back in 2019. The city was fortunate enough to have been awarded that grant. The grant is roughly $350,000 for improvements around the Beachmont Elementary School, Veterans Memorial School. At this point, we're in the very early concept development phases of the project. Given that is a grant and is administered through Mass DOT is a long process. So what we're looking to do tonight is just to give the commission an idea of what the project is moving forward so we can get some sort of concurrence as we move through the several design phases through Mass DOT. So you should have plans in front of you. In essence, the original application was for ADA ramp improvements and sidewalk improvements along the limits of the project, which are Everard from Bennington to Belle Isle from Everard to Crescent, and Crescent from Belle Isle to Winthrop. So that's the limits of the project were defined based on a walking study that was done as part of the grant application. So the scope of the project, the limits have not changed. Now we're actually into, the funding have been secured. We're actually moving into the design phase of the project. So the project, as far as the elements, like I mentioned before, it's ADA compliant ramp upgrades along that stretch of roadways. The one major difference, I will say, is the addition of a shared use path. It'll be a 10 to 12 foot shared use path along the frontage of the school on Everard from Bennington to Cottage. So that's the bigger of the improvements. There are no improvements right now proposed on Everard between Cottage and Belle Isle. That is a very narrow stretch of roadway, and I'll get back to that in a second. On Belle Isle, we're looking to improve the sidewalks, essentially put in brand-new cement concrete sidewalks with granite curbing. There is no narrowing of the roadway. The roadway width would stay the same. And on Crescent up to Winthrop, again, it's ADA compliant crosswalks, new high visibility crosswalks, and we're looking to make some minor adjustments to the crossing traffic islands up by Winthrop. We know it's a very complicated intersection. The geometry is very difficult, but that is one thing that we're looking to do. One element that is being added, this was a request from Mass DOT, the Complete Streets group, was adding a raised crosswalk on Everard Street, right down by the curve by Cottage Street. So that's one addition. And then what will be added was all the drainage improvements that will be associated with that raised intersection. I will say that on Everard Street, at one point, we were looking, our Mass DOT had us evaluate a shared use path on Everard Street from Cottage to Belle Isle. When we looked at that, it's a very narrow roadway, it's 18 feet now. That would require the roadway to go down to 14 feet. Our concern was emergency access, the parking availability on that street. In order to implement that shared use path for bicyclists and pedestrians, it will require parking to be removed on that stretch. So that concept has been basically taken off the table. So that stretch will remain as it is today. The only one change that I will say on Belle Isle is, I mentioned before, we're putting in granite curb and cement concrete sidewalks. The roadway is not getting narrowed. However, there is no reveal on that side, on the east side of Belle Isle heading towards Crescent. So cars are currently parked up on the sidewalk. Once the granite curb gets installed, that's going to be a little bit more difficult unless you have a pickup or an SUV. So we're not looking for any parking restrictions or changes. It will be a little bit narrower because cars will less likely or not have the ability to park on the curb. So that's one change that may affect parking. So as far as time frame, this is a ways out. This is programmed for fiscal year '27, which means it's available to start October 1st of '26. There are a number of process and procedures we need to go through Mass DOT, several design submittals, and where we're looking, because it's such a long time frame and the process is very systematic, we're looking to get some concurrence. That way we don't go all the way through the design and then come back. There will be a formal Mass DOT design public hearing after the design, which will be sometime in the spring. But we'd like to have some of the ideas or questions answered ahead of time so that that meeting goes as smooth as it can be. So we're not then going back to concept level and then having the process drag out schedule-wise. So tonight we're really just looking for concurrence, answer any questions you may have, tweaks that you may request as part of the design, so that we can then get into design and meet the schedule to make sure we don't make sure the city doesn't lose this funding.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Yeah, I've had a hand in seeing this. I know Nick has reviewed this a little. I don't think we've had any issues with this. We've gone over the drainage with the crosswalk. That's the only item.
Yep.
The only things I think that would actually, of this package so far, that would have to go in front of traffic would be the raised crosswalk.
Yep.
And that peninsula at the top of Crescent, end of Winter Bath. But I like it. Are there any other comments? You guys, any concerns?
Just the one concern on Belle Isle, if we're going to install a curbing and everything, and there's parking, I'm not sure if there's parking allowed on both sides of that street right now, but that's going to have to change.
Yeah, I think
We're not going to be able to.
currently they're parking on one side, but they are parking up on the curb, so it might make it
it's
very
resident
tight.
parking on both sides as a sign, but they're pretty much occupying the whole sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Do we have a comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ira Novoselsky, 53 D Hone Street. I'm the Ward 2 counselor, but I know the neighborhood, and I don't see Joanne here, but will this affect the bus stops on Bennington Street for the school? Because they usually have maybe about 100 feet from the edge of the school out to Everard, I believe it is.
From what I'm hearing, I don't believe there are any changes on Bennington Street at all.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if there's any restrictions that
Oh.
may, parking restrictions, or that may, the bike lane or whatever they're gonna do over there. I haven't seen any pictures, so I don't know.
Oh,
what-
okay. No,
what's
what they're
involved.
proposing is everything, all the stuff on Everard Street moving towards Winter Bath. There's nothing encroaching into Bennington Street. I believe that was
Yeah.
trying to get away from Mass
If I
DOT.
may,
If Bill would
they-
like to speak
They
on.
plan on doing a new sidewalk on Bennington beyond, up the length of the school?
No, the sidewalk will start, I guess, like as soon as you get about, I'll say 10 feet in from Bennington Street to
Yeah.
Everard.
Is there any way you can extend it to the length of the school?
It is going the entire length of the school.
Oh,
It's
on
going-
Bennington
It's
Street?
going from Bennington Street all
No.
along Everard, in front of the school.
I believe MassDOT had an issue or something on Bennington Street.
Yeah, so the intersection of Bennington and Everard is somehow involved with the mitigation for the Suffolk Downs project.
Yes.
Yes.
So it was taken out of this project because the scope of the Safe Routes to School
Yeah.
project doesn't include
Yeah.
signalized intersection improvements.
I'm just questioning whether or not we can get a brand-new concrete sidewalk.
It doesn't look
For
like it.
the length of the school
Counselor.
on Bennington Street side.
Oh, on Bennington Street, excuse me.
Yes, on Bennington.
Definitely outside the.
Yeah,
It's-
I thought maybe you could stretch it out a little.
That's it.
Thank you.
I don't believe so, but thank you, Counselor. All right. That sums up our agenda, and that concludes our meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. If you have a motion that you want to present, you have to present it to a counselor to get it onto our schedule.